Welcome back, Santa Clarita Valley. We're here on your Neighborhood Watch with Deputy Josh Dubin and Captain Roosevelt Johnson in the studio with me today. We're talking about outreach with the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station, as usual. And one of the topics du jour that everybody's talking about is Halloween. What's going on? Safety. I wanted to talk about some tips. Captain Johnson, I'm sure you and Deputy Dubin have some experience about just things you've seen on Halloween, things parents should know if they're going to be out trick-or-treating or if they're going to be out partying or just, what have you.
Yeah, we posted a message just recently in the paper because we're obviously Halloween is one of those times. It's a fun occasion. The kids generally get excited when it's time to get out there, get dressed in their costumes, and go out trick or treating. But what most people don't really know is that that's really one of the times where kids get hit by cars. They're normally, I think, about 4 times more likely to get struck by a car on that night than any other night. So I put out some safety tips for both the parents and the motorists that are out there and the kids. Some of those are basically just making sure that the kids are wearing outfits that are recognizable. If you can get something that's light in color.
Don't go dressed as a shadow?
No, don't go out dark clothing. Make sure that the kids are walking on the sidewalks and using the crosswalks and they're not walking in the middle of the street, and making sure that the kids go down well-lit streets, and keep an eye on your kids. For the motorists, just make sure that you slow down. That's the key. Slow down. Know that there are hundreds of, if not thousands of kids out walking on the streets, and make sure that you're watching out for kids darting out between cars, and looking out for kids because some of them are not wearing the appropriate clothing. The clothing's too big or baggy, and it may not
wants to go as a ninja,
fit appropriately.
So what if you're as a parent? What do you do? Just like have them put on a patch or something that's kind of reflective or something?
Yeah, that would work. Or even the bag that they're carrying. Make sure it's a light color bag to put their candy in. So things like that just work out really well, and it'll provide a safe environment for everyone to be able to enjoy the holiday without having the kids get hit by a car or something like that.
Do you have anything to add? Nixel's going out? Anything going on?
No, we do plan to
do you guys have increased patrols that night because there's so many people out, or is that something that, or do you guys just generally have?
We have a full, that night, Captain Johnson can comment more, but we have a full staff plus reserve deputies plus the volunteers on patrol working. So there'll be plenty of deputies on hand that night. And then in the coming days here, we're going to also do a Nixel message to all of our residents. We're going to do a next door message, Twitter, Facebook, again, kind of reiterating what Captain Johnson was just talking about, some of the Halloween safety tips. Because really, it's a fun night. Perry's going to be dressing up like Harry Potter.
Okay, let's talk about costumes.
We talked about that last
What's
night.
your costume, Perry?
I guess my girlfriend's going to make me go as Ronald Weasley from Harry Potter.
Harry
right.
Potter.
What about yourself, Captain Johnson?
You know what? I'm going to be dressed
You're gonna be
in
a
my
deputy.
uniform because I'm going to be out patrolling, making
captain.
sure that everyone's the community's safe.
Okay. You get patrolling on the west side, east side, south side.
The entire Santa Clarita Valley.
All right, making the rounds. Ride along.
Harry Potter does not need to go on a ride along.
Can you go as a deputy? Can you go in costume?
Can I go in costume? No. I'm going to be in full uniform, and my goal is to make sure it's a safe and enjoyable Halloween for all the kids and make sure they're enjoying it.
Okay.
So, yeah, be on the lookout for some of those safety tips. We'll be putting those out shortly in the coming days here.
And you said reserve deputies are on help, and I want to give a shout out to the reserve deputies because they're making $1 a year, and they're volunteering their time. What do they do? They just kind of help you guys out, be eyes and ears on the streets?
Yeah, we have fully trained reserve deputies that are actually on patrol, gone through the academy, gone through patrol training. So
yeah,
that training is going on right now, right?
Yes, it is, and I do want to acknowledge that the reserves and the volunteers. We do have a lot of volunteers station volunteers on patrol, and they police the counters. Actually, they're there at the counter to meet the public and things like that. We couldn't do a lot of things that we do without the reserves and the volunteers. They do a remarkable job for us here in the community, and I want to thank them publicly for the job that they do.
And that's separate from search and rescue, right? The volunteers who do like patrol help, because sometimes you see those white cars out and they look like sheriff station deputies, but they have a white uniform on. That's a reserve deputy, right? Or
No,
is
that's a volunteer on patrol.
That's a volunteer on patrol. So
Right.
what's the difference there between like a
Reserve deputies are generally, if they're out working patrol, they're basically driving a black and white car just like any other other deputy, and they can actually respond to calls for service. A lot of times they do traffic control and stuff for us on the large scale events that we have. We also do have search and rescue. They also drive the black and white cars. They're in the same tan and green uniform, and they go out and do the mountainous rescues and things on the trails when people have injuries or sustained injuries or anything like that. The volunteers on patrol, they drive wear the white shirt with the blue pants. They generally drive around in the white cars with the yellow light bar. They do drive through a lot of the parking lots and make sure that they're, people are not parking. Yeah, looking for suspicious activities, but also making sure that people are not parking in the handicap parking places and things like that. They do a great job for us, and both the reserves and the volunteers. So thank them. I want to thank them publicly.
Always nice to have some extra hands around.
Yes.
And also, speaking of safe Halloween fun, Haunted Jailhouse, we're going to talk about that real quick when we come back from a short commercial break on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, the Neighborhood Watch, brought to you by All American Billboards. Welcome back, Santa Clarita Valley. We're here on your Neighborhood Watch. In the studio with me today, Deputy Josh Dubin and Captain Roosevelt Johnson. I do the radio voice just to see Josh Dubin jump out of the chair, because if you're watching it on YouTube, you can see a visceral reaction, and you know what? That's why I got into radio.
You can.
Frankly,
I like the
for
word
the YouTube
visceral,
videos.
and Kyle gave you the thumbs down. So
you know what? Kyle, in general, as my boss and as a matter of policy, gives everything I do a thumbs down, and he'll explain that it's his management strategy. It's to constantly encourage me. It's
Really?
reverse psychology.
is that what it is?
It's deep rooted. We want to talk about some more things with the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station. It's outreach with the community. You were talking to me on break, Captain Johnson, about the Community Academy, and this is something that I'm a little unfamiliar with, so please educate me.
Yeah, Community Academy is something that I wanted to bring here when I got here. It's something that hasn't been here in quite a while.
Oh, okay.
And what it is basically a 6-week program where we invite members of the community. We're going to put it out here relatively soon because it's going to start on November 11th and it's going to go through December 17th. It's a 6-week program where you meet a couple hours one night a week between 7 and 9 p.m. at the station. And we basically kind of open it up, bring in about 30 members of the community at a time to educate them on some of the things that we do, like court procedures, things dealing with Miranda, give them tours of the jail, not just our station jail, but we also take them on a tour of the county jail up here at Castaic, one of the large jails. And then also try and get them, we're going to also incorporate at a later date, not this first session, but at a later date, an opportunity for them to go to our laser village where we put them through a shoot, don't shoot type scenario. So they get to make a split-second decision whether or not to pull the trigger or use force on someone.
Now, the idea being, I'm guessing, to give people, community residents, stakeholders, leaders, a little better perspective on what it's actually like to be in the shoes and to have to go through the decisions that you guys make and to deal with what you guys deal with on a daily basis?
Absolutely. Yeah, and this program's been used in other communities, and it's been received very well by members of the community, and because most members don't really understand, have that grasp of what we do.
I don't think you could until you try to go through some of the situations and make the judgments that you guys have to make on a daily basis. What's some of the things you hear or you've heard as far as feedback from people who've gone through it and their experiences with it?
Oh, most of them they're quite surprised at what it takes to do this job. And once they find out all the stuff that we do and they have a better understanding of what we do, I think it helps to gel, create that gel in terms of the relationship with the community.
Right.
And so we're looking forward to getting that started and getting it off the ground and opening up our house to members of the community and educating them on what we do.
Now, you are off the hot seat, Captain Johnson, but I think the question on everybody's mind is, are you going to be in the Duncan Deputy booth for the haunted jailhouse.
Absolutely. I'm the first person in the booth.
Boy.
So
I'll
please
get my
stop
quarters
by.
and laundry money. No.
Get your money and stop by. If you want to dunk your captain and your chief of police here in
That's
Santa
awesome.
Clarita, stop on by.
So
Good
that
deal.
is this Sunday at 11 a.m.
And as the captain, can you order any like deputies to join you in?
Relax your nerves, Perry.
No, I'm not. I'm not in the business of doing
You
that.
don't like
I'm
to wield
looking
your
for,
power like
I'm
that?
looking
Okay.
for volunteers
Okay, all right.
to get in there. And actually, we have a pretty good lineup of folks
Cool.
that have volunteered.
Some zone leaders? Is
Yes,
Deputy Carr on
some
the
zone
list?
leaders are in there.
I will say that I have participated in that before, and the water is cold.
I'm looking at you, Deputy Heisenberg.
Yes, exactly. However,
Calling
this
out
year
names on the radio.
you and I will be broadcasting live from the
Yes,
haunted
11 to 2. We'll be there, obviously, to support the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station. Get everybody down there because it's a great event every year. So much cool stuff. There's a Halloween costume contest. There's the zip line. That was, I think, one of the highlights. There was a
Right,
nice line for that
right.
because everybody.
And you know what?
wanted
I
to
think
do it.
that, you know what, especially the younger people really love checking out all the equipment from the search and rescue team. And then they
The
get to
bomb
play
squad
around the bomb
vehicle.
squad, the zip line there that the search and rescue team sets up. We're going to have the T3s out, you know, obviously radio cars out, different type of sheriff's department equipment out. We're going to be broadcasting live, food, candy,
Entry is $1.
$1.
And it goes to the Santa Clarita Valley Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we're really happy to support the Boys and Girls Club in this capacity. Obviously, it's a club that's very beneficial here to the community, and we want to make sure that we're doing things to help support them.
And the weekend after that, we have 1 minute left, so we definitely want to talk about the
Definitely want
1033
to
ride.
talk about this, yeah.
Tell me about that.
November 1st, the weekend after that, we're going to have the 1033. This is the second annual 1033 benefit ride hosted by our station. Not only are we going to have the motorcycle ride, which the motorcycles are going to meet down at Glendale Harley Davidson at 9 a.m. that day. The
That's Glendale?
cars, yeah, that's in
Glendale?
Glendale.
Yes.
The cars are going to be meeting at the lower lake of Castaic Lake at 9 a.m. Then the motorcycles are going to transverse. How's that word for you, Perry? Transverse from Glendale Harley Davidson to the lower lake of Castaic. We're all going to meet up, cars, motorcycles. It's going to be a lot of fun. Great raffle prizes. We're going to have food, drinks, a lot going on there. It's going to be a real nice day. So.
And you have information about that on the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station's Facebook page.
I
We
do.
put up a link, so you can check out that story at hometownstation.com. Another fantastic show wraps up 1 year of the Neighborhood
1 year.
Watch. Thank you, Captain Johnson, for taking some time in your schedule to come down and talk about what the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station is doing.
Well, thank you, Perry, and thank you for what you do here in the community. We're really happy that you're doing that, and the whole Neighborhood Watch thing and KHTS. We couldn't be more happy with that relationship.
Thanks, Captain Johnson. Thanks, Deputy Dubin. And with that, we're out on your Neighborhood Watch, brought to you by All American Bail Bonds on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.